We are finally on the eve of the End of Dragons release. The long content drought is finally over. Now, I wanted to take a quick speculative look at all of the elite specializations and where I think they'll fall as far as tier ranking in GW2 PvP. Let's get into it. Absolutely no surprise here. The Willbender was probably the most underwhelming profession that was shown during the End of Dragons previews. While they also may look really flashy with all their jumps and kicks and all of that, they don't bring necessarily anything unique to the table, anything that I would say makes them stand out above the crowd. Now, to say that their maneuverability might be on par with, say, like a Daredevil, maybe not as many dodges, but the movement capabilities are there, I don't feel that it has enough defenses to stay in long enough to deal significant damage. While the offhand sword is a cool idea, dual-wielding swords, unfortunately, it just doesn't feel that there's enough defensive capabilities, and it takes too long for the damage abilities to get all the way out for you to cause any type of significant pressure. And in that time, you've made yourself vulnerable. The question remains, why would you bring a Willbender over, say, a Core Guardian, or maybe even a Dragon Hunter? I don't believe you would. Now, if we could figure out the best way and the best position for the Willbender, I believe that it will be something either with a roamer or a duelist type role. I don't really see it being a strong team fighting spec, but I do see it with a 1v1 and then also its movement capabilities to get across the map. I would believe that that's the role it would fit. I really wanted to like it, but it took the core aspect of the Mesmer, which made it really unique, and kind of tossed it to the window in the favor of throwing giant daggers all over the place. Again, cool, but I feel like it left the Mesmer in a very vulnerable state. Part of the way that the Mesmer plays is misdirection. Being able to outplay another opponent because they can't track where you were was one of the core staples to its survivability, and now we've taken that away. I do think that it will have some strong presence in some situations. I just don't think that it will outpace, say, some of the other Mesmer Elite specializations, or just core Mesmer itself. Now, it landed in the C tier because I do believe that it will have a strong presence in team fights, and I think that's where it's going to shine, a team fight DPS. It has a number of abilities that are going to be AoE, it can hit them from a fairly safe range, and of course you can have a couple of abilities that offer a little bit of survivability. I just don't feel that it is enough for it to be any higher than that. Good team fighter, probably not a good roamer or duelist. Okay, so I have to say again, God, I love that sound effect. The Bladesworn is a really awesome concept, and that makes also like two different professions, elite specializations that Ritlock has canonically done before everyone else. Just throwing that out there. Now, don't get me wrong, the concept of the Dragon Slash is freaking amazing. I love it, but it's kind of a one-trick pony. Like, you know what to dodge, and then outside that window, there's only moderate pressure. There's no incredible, consistent pressure that other warrior professions wouldn't be able to do. I mean, hell, Spellbreaker is incredibly strong. Honestly, even Core Warrior isn't bad. Now, it's not to say that this won't have a play in the meta. Just in its current state, and we'll have to see how this plays out. Dodging the Dragon Slash is basically how to avoid it. Now, of course, you have like Flicker Step, which can help out with some of its mobility, and honestly, it's very, very telegraphed what's going to happen. If you play around it, then, you know, you can pretty much be good. Now, it's not to say that it won't have a place. I really think that it could have a strong place in, say, team fights with well-timed Dragon Slashes. I could also see it do pretty well in a duelist capability, a 1v1 in that sense. I just don't know if you would necessarily bring that in comparison to the other established meta that we have with Warrior. Okay, so I tried out the Untamed and I loved it. I thought it was a cool hark back to the Bunny Thumper from Guild Wars 1. I do. I really liked it. It felt an incredibly durable profession. It felt like you just were powerful and you were just a wedge right in there in the middle. And a lot of the abilities that you had really reinforced that. Force fortification, it really essentially amps up your defensive capabilities. I don't know if that would necessarily bring too much to a, say, team match. And of course, comboing it with some type of unleash capability or ambush ability, there is playability there, and I really am going to be diving into it once End of Dragons is fully out and seeing where it lands. I just don't think right now that it has any type of strong play in comparison, again, to other Ranger specs. Honestly, I believe that the Untamed would fit incredibly well in like a bunker situation where they are able to defend a side node a lot better. I don't know about like the damage capabilities, but they have enough survivability that I think they could either wear the opponent down or they could hold off the cap of a point or the decap of a point for another player to come over and assist. They could also probably do pretty well in team fights, again being that giant wedge, but there's not enough capabilities there that I think it would outpace, like, say, just even a Valkyrie Ranger. Quick dad joke for you to smash that like button. It helps my video get shown to more people and we can have more opinions on this topic. Where do boats go when they are sick? To the dock. Okay, so I have really high hopes for this elite specialization. Obviously, with me being an engineer main, I'm excited to get into it and mess around because I really want to see how this mech plays. I want to see how strong it is, how like polished they made this particular specialization. I'm a little hesitant on some things though. What makes it unique is, again, you are capitalizing on what the engineer is, which is essentially a Swiss Army knife. You can be a bunch of different roles within PvP and still be pretty viable. Now, the problem that I have with this, and the reason it didn't score any higher on this tier list, is because the engineer itself and the mechanist itself is really based around the fact that your mech is going to be there to support you. Now, if for whatever reason your mech gets killed, you're in a very bad spot. Yes, they did tweak it a little bit where you could call down your mech a little bit sooner. They reduced that cooldown, but again, it's still play aroundable. Like, if you know that the mech is going to be your major damage dealer or the major portion of what this engineer is, removing the mech out of the situation kind of leaves the mechanist in a very bad spot. Also, something to be said about Guild Wars 2 AI capabilities and their pet AI specifically, it leaves me a little concerned. I'm hopeful, but still a little wary. I could see the mechanist being an amazing support role, and I think that comes from the capabilities of the mech itself, but then also adding on to what the engineer can do with, say, like the med kit or even some of the turrets. There might be some capabilities there that I am excited. I'm so excited to get into and to see what they can do. Surprise! Bet you weren't expecting that one. All right, so I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I have really high hopes for the Catalyst. I know it's received quite a bit of memeage. Memeage? Is that a term? But I have to say, I really think that it will shine, and here's why. Of course, being the big thing of having wells and augments and consistently dealing damage over time and staying in combat and essentially ramping up your elemental attunement, which is a stacking buff, it could take some time in PvP fights, but I really think that the combo and the aura capabilities will let this rise up to the top. And of course, if we're going to pair it with some of the other abilities and the defensive abilities of core Elementalist, or I mean, even from there, just their movement capabilities, I really think that this could cause a surprising amount of damage very quickly. And then on top of that, their elite ability, which is Elemental Celerity, basically resets all of their abilities for whatever attunement that they're at. So they could really double down on a bunch of damage really, really quickly. I'm calling it now. I really think someone's going to come out with an instant delete. I'm looking at you, Valen. I'm thinking that the Catalyst is going to fall into most of the Elementalist build type plays where they're pretty good at team fights or small skirmishes, maybe not the best at 1v1s, but have quite a bit of capabilities. You could also make the argument for 1v1s with the right set of builds, but that I feel like that would have to be very, very specific to your playstyle. I, for one, am stoked about this profession. I have really, really high hopes. I'm a little bit biased because of the superhero landing, but you guys get my gist. But it really seems like this could be a double-edged sword of a profession. Either that it could lean heavily into the power and the damage and the survivability, or it could lean into the healing and support style, which let's be serious, most Revenants in PvP are damage. Lots of damage. As you crash down, you cause damage, you can spec so that it has a little bit of healing. Again, it does leave the Vindicator in sort of a vulnerable spot, but it seems like there's abilities that will increase not only the vigor uptime, but also helping back regenerate some of the endurance. But in these PvP matches, it could be an essential joining the match and seeing what the team needs. Do you need someone who has a lot more power? Do you need something that's going to offer a little bit of support? And having that duality, I think, is going to throw the enemy team for a loop. They see a Vindicator. What kind of Vindicator is it? Oh no, we'll see. I really do believe that the abilities and skills that are going to be offered for the Vindicator really shine of what the profession is, and I do think that in a skilled player's hands, definitely not me, they could do very, very well. Of course, this also leads me to believe that they will probably be either a really good support or a really good damage dealer. Team fighting, more so. But we'll have to see. Again, these are all just kind of speculations. Now, at first, I really didn't like the concept of a Harbinger. Someone else drinking alchemic flasks? Hello? That's what engineers do. It's kind of their thing. But after taking a deeper look into all of their capabilities and their kit, I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna be pretty fearful of this particular profession. Between the elixir and the shroud, I'm really excited to see this particular profession's 1v1 capabilities. I'm willing to bet that it is going to be a absolute beast in roaming or duelist styles. And after taking a look at most of the abilities, an honest, hybrid power condi damage ability set, I really think that it could be an absolute pain to deal with. I have really high hopes for this profession. Now, it did make S tier, in my opinion, because of the Harbinger Shroud kind of kickback where you're consistently losing health. And in 1v1s, most of the time your health gets deleted anyway. Maybe that's just me. But I imagine if you take some of the base skill traits or skill lines from the Necromancer and add quite a bit of toughness and vitality, I really think that it will shine in those types of scenarios. As I mentioned, I really believe that the Harbinger is going to be an absolute beast in 1v1, either roaming, duelist, what have you. I'm calling it now. Finally, S tier. Absolutely no surprises here. The Spectre. Once I saw what this elite specialization could do, and where the Thief already kind of sits in PvP, it's going to be really, really popular. What? A Thief? Good at PvP? Ooh, never thought of that. Seriously though, with the sheer amount of healing, condi cleanse, and then just even overall damage capabilities of Thief anyway, it's gonna shine. I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a really, really good elite specialization in PvP. Because you take all these strong capabilities that are coming in with the Spectre elite specialization, but then you also pair it with already the elusiveness and the survivability of the Thief abilities. Again, if this isn't one of the most popular elite specializations, then I don't know what to say. I do believe that it is going to be one of these high skill ceiling professions, and there is going to be quite a bit of learning, so I wouldn't expect it immediately. People be kicking butt with it, but I do think over time, as people adapt to it and if they really stick with it, they're going to absolutely crush it with this particular elite specialization. And of course, this spec is obviously going to shine as a support role, no doubt in my mind. But what's also unique about it is that it could also be a very strong roaming support and helping out, say, a duel or a side node objective and running back to your team to help assist it and support right after you've basically 2v1 someone. I'm just saying, I see really good things with this. What profession do you think will do best? Do you agree with my ordering? Tell me in the comment section down below. It is finally time. End of Dragons is here, guys. Let's get to it.